questions about growing up to the doctor and author, Zoe Williams.
And the three of us are finding out how girls are being encouraged to enter the world of motorsports.
I can definitely be the next generation.
Hi, this is FYI, the weekly news show that explains everything that's happening in the world this week.
And we're going to start with a row that's broken out over cartoons on the walls of an immigration centre.
It's all about how the UK welcomes children who have arrived here on their own without their families, often after fleeing from war and danger in their own countries.
They've often had terrible journeys over thousands of miles from countries like Afghanistan or Syria, or from war-torn parts of Africa. And they may have crossed the channel in dangerous small boats. By the time they arrive here, they're often terrified and in shock.
So centres like this one in Kent try to make sure the children are well looked after. They've been designed to be as child-friendly as possible, with cartoon characters like Mickey Mouse on the walls.
But when the Conservative government's immigration minister, Robert Jenrick, saw the Disney characters, he ordered them to be painted over.
The government has been trying to stop small boats bringing people over the channel illegally, so far without much success. And apparently, the minister thought the cartoon characters were too welcoming.
His decision has been heavily criticised by refugee groups and politicians from all parties.
Lord Ponsonby and I went to the facility where that mural was. There was nothing offensive about it. All it did was provide comfort and a sense of belonging to children in a desperate situation.
The government is sticking to its guns, saying they look after unaccompanied children properly, but wants to stop them from making these perilous journeys in the first place.
Well, we're joined now from Turkey by 14-year-old Bana, who fights for refugee rights after fleeing the Syrian war. Bana, you escaped with your family, but it was still a really scary time, wasn't it?
Yes, indeed. It was very scary because the thought of losing your family member on the way does not leave your mind. And the fact that we were children and tried our best to act like adults just to reach the buses was not easy. And the thing is that on the whole journey, me and my brothers were just hugging each other, thinking that if we hugged each other, we would stay safe and still be together.
Now, your cousin Mohammed fled Syria on his own when he was just 12. I mean, he's the same age as me. Why did he do it, and what was his experience like?
So his parents gave him a big responsibility to get out of Syria in a legal way. So first of all, he went to Turkey, and then he went by a cargo ship in a small box. Can you imagine? His parents were really afraid that he would get suffocated or anything, but we children are just thinking of, we need a better future. We want to study. We want to make our parents proud of us because the war is so scary and we don't want anyone to live like that.
What is your message for the British government?
Children are very important. They do not deserve to die, or they do not deserve to be kicked out and stay as a refugee in a place they do not know without their parents. Also, we are children, right? Our parents take care of us and they don't want us to be harmed. They all have children. So why do they bother to also kick out other children? It's unbelievable.
Thank you so much, Bana.
Thank you for your time. Bye.
Now, strangely, Mickey Mouse is also popping up on social media in relation to the Second World War. This image claims to be a Mickey Mouse gas mask made for children in case of a gas attack. But is it fake or fact?
And going much further back, this painting was recently discovered on a wall in Pompeii, the famous Italian city buried by a volcanic eruption nearly 2,000 years ago. Some say it shows an ancient pizza, way before pizzas were supposed to have been invented. So again, is this fake or fact? We'll let you know later.
Now, to an amazing true story, which definitely sounds fake. It's that feeding cows daffodils could help fight climate change.
Yeah, that really sounds like the start of a joke.
I know, but let me explain. Cows produce about 1/7 of all greenhouse gas emissions, and it comes from gases in their stomachs.
So cows breaking wind, basically?
You got it. It's actually a big issue. But scientists at Scotland's Rural College discovered that a daffodil extract added to cows' food massively reduces the harmful gas they produce. Researchers say it could be a real game changer, and they're starting a trial on farms all over the country.
Wow, real flower power.
But just a note that daffodils are poisonous to dogs, so keep them away from your pets.
Good point. Now I've got a tiny bit of good news from the Amazon. The world's biggest rainforest has suffered terrible destruction over recent years, but figures for the first 4 months of 2023 show around a third less was destroyed compared to last year.
It's a positive start for the new Brazilian president Lula, who has ambitious plans to stop illegal rainforest destruction completely by 2030. But many say there's sadly little chance of achieving that. Is it just me, or is it quite a tricky time to be growing up?
Yeah, I agree. I'm not sure it's ever easy, but it seems there's a lot of bad stuff going on in the world right now. Like a lot of the stuff we've been reporting on. War, environment, refugees.
Yeah, and then there's personal pressures too of things like social media. So I'm delighted to introduce Dr. Zoe Williams to the FYI studio. Hi Zoe, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, you recently brought out your Girl's Guide to Growing Up called You Grow Girl. So why did you decide to write this?
When I was growing up, I wish there'd been a resource that would sort of give me a lot of answers to questions that I had about the changes that were happening to my body, changes to relationships, my emotions being all over the place. I've tried to cover in the book all of those challenges.
A very common concern amongst girls is appearance and pressures to look good.
Yes.
So what advice would you give to girls who might be a bit worried about the way they look?
I think we put far too much emphasis on the way that our bodies look to other people, because our bodies are so amazing. If you think of the things that they do, not just keeping us alive, but all the things that we can do with our bodies, from playing sport to dancing, to our brains. Like, we are, as human beings, we are incredible. So whilst, you know, it would be unrealistic for me to sit here and say we shouldn't be bothered at all about how we look, there are lots of tips and tricks and activities that can help us start to appreciate and love our real selves and our amazing bodies for everything that they do for us.
So another question we got was making and keeping friends.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to girls and boys who might be concerned about that?
I think it's really important to be able to identify the difference between a good friendship and a friendship that's maybe not so healthy. If you're in a good friendship, you should be able to trust them and be honest with them and feel that you can confide in them. So yeah, I think my advice around making friends is it's easier if you have a shared interest. So whatever your interests are, get out there, join clubs, be adventurous, be curious, and always just look out for if there are any red flags in friendships, and you should feel comfortable and safe in a friendship. Sometimes we tend to end up in friendships with people that are like us or people that look like you. And you were talking about, you know, refugees, and I think refugees that move to this country, it must be really difficult for them to make friendships, especially if they don't speak the language. So my advice is, you know, if there is someone in your class at school who you don't really feel that you understand much about them, ask some questions and they might end up becoming a really good friend.
Well, we've mentioned bad news, and there's been a couple of upsetting stories over the past week or so. For instance, there were fatalities after a car crashed into a prep school in Wimbledon, and then there was also a stabbing at a secondary school in Tewkesbury, but fortunately no one was seriously hurt in that one. So what would your advice be to viewers who might be feeling a bit worried or upset about this?
I think in this country and probably around the world, we have a habit to amplify bad news more than good news. So it can feel like there's loads of bad stuff happening in the world, where actually the majority of stuff happening in the world is good. So I think if you're feeling a bit overwhelmed because these bad news stories you keep hearing them over and over again, it's important to remember that those situations are few and far between, and there's way more good stuff.
For my last question, what are your top tips for growing up happy?
Sometimes I think girls more than boys, but boys as well, we have a tendency to look at ourselves in the mirror and be critical. Don't do that. Let's give ourselves love and affection. How else can you grow up happy? We live in a world now where we have lots of friends in real life. We have lots of friends probably online. I always say, if somebody on social media makes you feel bad 3 times, 3 strikes and you're out, you know, don't follow them anymore. There's a lot going on in the world that's outside of our control, but we do have control over how much we subject ourselves to different things.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today and answering our questions.
Now, if you were a seal, would you hitch a ride on a surfboard? Well, that's exactly what this brave baby seal does in San Diego in California. Nicknamed Sammy, he seems to really enjoy chilling with the surf dude.
It feels like a great time to be a girl in sport, with the Lionesses reigning European champions and about to go to the Women's World Cup in Australia and New Zealand.
Well, one sport that wants to see more women competing alongside men is Formula One motor racing. Braden and Scarlett went to check out a new scheme which encourages girls to get into motorsport.
So Scarlett, have you ever felt the need for speed?
Well, yes and no. I've always loved the idea, but I've never had the chance to actually give it a go.
Only 2 women have ever qualified to race in Formula One, and that was back in the 1970s.
So now the sport wants to change all that and give women more chances to progress to the highest levels.
It all starts here, on a go-kart track, and luckily, we know just the right person to tell us more.
Hiya guys. Yeah, I've been competing in karts since I was 7 years old. And what's great is that I see loads of girls competing as well.
45,000 girls visit venues like this one every year, but sadly, only a tiny percentage of them go on to become adult racing drivers.
To address that, the new women's racing series, the Formula One Academy, is launching an initiative called Discover Your Drive.
The aim of it is to get girls into motorsports from an early age, identify who's got talent and support them.
From there, it's hoped that more girls can then progress to become F1 Academy drivers, like Jessica Edgar, who's only 18.
Jess Edgar going wheel to wheel.
She started young, just like the girls she's here to support.
So what differences do initiatives like these make?
It puts it on a global stage so that the young girls think they're welcome to come and do this and aim to be in our seats one day. When I started, I was always the only girl in my class racing and karting. I do think maybe girls are a little bit forgotten about, and I think that we can just be as good as the boys.
Let's meet some of the girls who are taking part. Could they be the future Lewis Hamiltons?
So, Lily, Rosie, what are you most excited for today?
Well, I'm excited for this new track because I've never been here before.
Big, isn't it? I know, it's massive.
It's the biggest track I've ever been on.
Do you think you guys could be like the next generation of F1 drivers?
I can definitely be the next generation.
I can see that. Well, I can't wait to see you get in the karts and get racing. You're going to beat me, that's for sure.
Well, this is going to be fun then. Let's give it a go. Now we've all raced, let's see how we did.
I came third.
Third?
Yeah.
She beat me. What's your time then?
They got 53.
They both beat me, but I beat Braden though. Everybody look on the leaderboard. I beat Braden fair and square. He beat both of us. I mean,
yeah.
Soon I'm going to be at your level though. Just need to come a couple more times.
So would you be interested in doing it again?
I'd definitely do it again on this track, definitely. I found it really fun.
So would you enjoy pursuing a future in Formula One or a different type of motorsport?
It's something that I'm really good at, and I'm really passionate about it.
Next weekend is the Formula One Hungarian Grand Prix, and I'm really excited because Braden, Zach and I will be taking over some of the coverage on Sky Sports.
So did you guess which of our earlier stories were fake or fact? Well, the Mickey Mouse gas mask is fact. Around 1,000 were made during World War II to help make putting them on less scary for children.
But the 2,000-year-old Pompeii pizza is fake. The picture is for real, but if you look closely, it's just a kind of flatbread with fruit on. Tomatoes, a vital ingredient of pizza, didn't come to Europe from the Americas till a few centuries ago. And pizzas were invented in nearby Naples soon after, in the 1700s.
Well, that's just about it for this week. But Scarlett, I saw that Taylor Swift tickets just got on sale for her UK concerts next year. Did you try to get any?
Well, I didn't, but loads of my friends did, and it was really tricky. I mean, the figures are just amazing. Taylor Swift is doing 151 concerts altogether as part of her Eras World Tour, and it's been estimated she makes about £10 million for each show.
The demands for tickets have been crazy. I mean, websites in America are crashing badly. It seems we only have a 1 in 50 chance of actually getting one, Well, if you're going to try get a ticket, I wish you the best of luck.
Till next week, bye!
Bye!